You know what I really like when you're a consumer of movies or media or whatever, and you watch something and you get to be aware of the artists involved in it, and then years and years down the line, you still remember you still remember them and you remember their names, but they achieve such a great success in whatever other artistic field they're in, and you think, oh shit, I remember seeing them for the first time in such and such, and it's so cool to see them doing such great things years later. I'm sure there's probably more examples than I can think of at the moment. One that comes to mind is that David Dasmalchian guy. I remember seeing him for the very first time playing Thomas Shift in The Dark Knight, and although it was a really small role, he stuck out so much that seeing him in the cool shit he's in now over the many years that followed is just awesome. Because you remember that really, really small role, and then as years went by, he's in bigger and bigger things and doing better and better roles, and I love when that happens. It's awesome. Such is the case today with Weapons, the latest movie from director Zach Cregger, following his unexpected sleeper hit Barbarian. I'm not sure of how popular this was back in the day, but I always knew Zach Cregger as one of the guys from Whitest Kids You Know, which I was a really big fan of back then. And as life typically happens, it goes hard and fast, and you don't see some of these people or these artists in subsequent years, but every now and again, they show up and they do some seriously incredible shit. So here we are today, 2025, and this guy who started his career with a really bonkers sketch comedy show is now making some unique and seriously elevated shit. And he's being compared to David Fincher off and on in the reviews for his movies and the way he shoots them, all that shit. So it seems like just yesterday I was watching him in a sketch show about guys in a board meeting, and one of them pulled a hunk of shit from his pants. It's a hilarious show, by the way. Just check it out. But anyways, Weapons. My goodness, the anticipation for this movie, between the wild stories of the crazy bidding wars to the incredible word of mouth and early reactions, I was absolutely excited to see this as soon as possible before any kind of spoilers came out, but I still went in with tempered expectations after 28 years later ruined my summer. But holy shit, I really suggest to anyone to see this as soon as possible. Read absolutely nothing. Ideally, see it in a generously full theater because this movie delivers on truly everything you could possibly hope for. I think this is one of those movies where most everyone's going to be aware of the plot even without having to see it, almost in the same manner that most people are kind of aware of what The Sixth Sense is about. For Weapons, in a small town somewhere, all but one kid in a single classroom all randomly leave their homes at 2:17 a.m., out of bed, out the front door, and just disappear. Never to be heard from again, so the big mystery, of course, is what the fuck happened to them. Yeah, you're kind of led to believe that there will be just one central character, which is the teacher of that class, played by Julia Garner, but to my pleasant surprise, that's actually not the case. The movie presents several different characters and follows their point of view through this insane mystery that's really almost kind of like chapters, and it's all so much fucking better for it. It's such a refreshing narrative choice that you really don't quite expect it, and ultimately it gives the movie a really exciting dynamic in just how this whole insane story is untangled and how everyone not only intersects but brings a different piece to the overall larger puzzle. And that's truly the best way to go into this movie, not knowing anything about it at all beyond the premise, because it is a wild, fun, creepy, and inventive ride from start to finish. Some might complain that it has a bit of a slower pace, but I absolutely did not feel that whatsoever. And there were actually points where I sensed that the end may have been coming. And I remember thinking to myself that I hope it went on even longer because it was just that goddamn intriguing. Characters were all really layered and fleshed out, and all of them felt like watching actual people with real life problems stuck in this crazy ass nightmare of the kids disappearing. And there was not one single weak link actor in here. Everyone absolutely killed it and made each one of these characters sympathetic, engaging, and one of the things I liked most about them was that they were all characters that were flawed and fallible, but were just doing the best they could in these shit situations. Even when they were doing questionably shitty things, Kreger crafts everything so goddamn well that they're written thoughtfully and presented with a type of compassion so that you understand their flaws without losing any sympathy for them. And let's sing Kreger's praises some more. I cannot wait to see what else he makes, because he is one of those directors where when you watch his movies, you can feel the attention to detail, the methodical way in which the whole goddamn movie just seems handcrafted from beginning to end. from the narrative style down to the small details peppered throughout. It's awesome. I wish I could talk about more of those details, but I don't want to ruin the best parts of the movie. That all those things are best left discovered as the characters are discovering them. Visually, it's fucking fantastic. The best way I can describe it is that it is almost a comfortable looking nightmare. It's something that I particularly love with that's a handful of directors, is that some directors have a really specific visceral style in which they present gore and violence. It's not just bloody and just like, oh, that's gory. They shoot it in a way to where it feels real and it feels like you're actually watching what's happening on the screen. The only other two directors that really come to mind that direct violence in that kind of manner and blood and gore is Stallone and Mel Gibson. Kreger, same thing here. Just nails it as far as getting the violence on screen and making it look as visceral as possible. To close this off, I also can't believe that we are blessed and lucky enough to have Zach Kreger making the next Resident Evil movie. If he makes it with even a fraction of the dread, tension, and visceral violence displayed here, I think we're in for hopefully, a Resident Evil movie that, for the first time ever in 20 plus years, does not absolutely shit the bed. I really hope this assumption doesn't age like shit either, but based on this and Barbarian, it's crazy to me that they managed to get a director this fantastic for a video game adaptation, and especially Resident Evil. But hey, go see Weapons, ideally in the theater. I started this show thing so I could just talk about movies and cap off my thoughts with a story or anecdote about what it was specifically like playing these movies in a theater. But this week, I asked for the week off. Summers get overwhelming and stressful, so I need some time off. But one thing I will share is that when tickets went up on sale for this a few weeks ago, I had gone a step further and I scheduled showings at 2:17 a.m., not p.m., that's a.m. in the morning. I had them up for a while, but I took them down because no tickets sold. I'm starting to think I made a mistake on that one because it would have been a fun novelty having those up. And, maybe with some luck, reading about how a handful of customers ran outside the auditorium when the show started and were never heard from again. Yeah, maybe next time.